Hi, boys and girls. I'm so happy you're here to do some learning with me today. I brought some of my favorite books that I'm excited to show you. This is If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. This is such a funny and such a good book. This book is written by somebody named Laura Numeroff. She's the author of this book. I also brought, I think you've heard of this one, The Cat in the Hat. The Cat in the Hat is written by Dr. Seuss. And the third book I brought with me is Pete the Cat, Crayons Rock. Do you like to color with crayons? I like this picture on the back. One thing that all of these books have in common is that all of these books talk about things that you can find in your house. This book is about crayons. This book is about the cat and the hat and so many other things in a person's house too, really. This is about a mouse and a cookie. I hope you don't have a mouse in your house, but this book is all about things that you can find in your house. The authors of these stories wrote about things that you could find in your house. And today, I want to teach you that you can be an author too by writing about some things that you can find in your house. An author is a person who writes the book. So like I said, this book is written by Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss was the author. This book had two authors, Kimberly and James Dean. Those are the authors of this book. Today, you're going to be an author and I'm going to help you. Now, before we can begin writing, we have to choose a topic. A topic just means the main idea that we're going to write about. And for today, I've chosen a topic for us, but then the next time you write, you can write about anything. You can choose any topic that you like, something that you find interesting. It's the best thing about writing is you get to choose what to write about. So today our topic is going to be things that you can find in a kitchen. So I went into my play kitchen and I found what is this? Plate and a fork. Good job. I got a plate and a fork from my play kitchen, and I'm going to use those to help me write a sentence. You might be thinking, Miss Mackenzie, what is a sentence? What are you talking about? Well, a sentence is just when we take a group of words and put them all together to mean something. And in kindergarten, you've learned so many sight words, and you've learned your letter names and your letter sounds. And so we're going to use all of those skills and put them together to write one or two or maybe even three sentences so that you can be an author today. So I'm going to do it first, and then I'm going to do it along with you, and then I'm going to challenge you to try to do it by yourself. So I'm going to use this whiteboard and my whiteboard marker and eraser. But if you have paper and pencil, then you can use that. That will work just fine. So I want to write about my fork first. And I want to write this sentence. I see the fork. I see the fork. Now that sentence is built with a lot of our sight words. I see the, all of those are sight words. So we know how to spell those words already, but fork, that's different. I'm going to help you when we get to the word fork so that you know what we need to do. Now, when we write a sentence, we always need to start at the top of our paper or whiteboard and on the left. And every sentence begins with a capital letter. Say that, capital letter. So my first word was I. So I write the word I. All of my sight words have a little song. So I always remember my sight words by their songs. Donna, Donna, I. Now after I write one word in a sentence, I need to make sure that I leave some space. I call it a finger space. But there needs to be some white space so that our words aren't so squished together that we can't tell where one word stops and one word starts. So we put our fingers down to make sure we leave a space. I see. S-E-E-C, S-E-E-C. That's a sight word. What was our next word? I see the. So if I want to do another word in my sentence, I have to put my fingers down and leave a space. I see the, T-H-E, that spells the. I see the fork. Now I have to write this word fork. Now, fork is not a sight word, so when I come to a word I don't know, how do you think I should handle that? Should I go say, hey mom, hey dad, can you tell me how to spell fork? I could, they probably know how to spell fork, but I want you to use kid spelling. Kid spelling means it's okay if you don't spell the same way as your parents. I want you to listen to the sounds you hear in a word and just use the letters that you know to write those sounds. So let's try it with fork. Let's listen to the sounds. O, k. I hear 4 different sounds in that word. So I need to use the letters I know to write those sounds. First sound was, I know, first of all, put a finger space down on my board. I know that when I hear, that's letter F. What was the next sound? O. What letter says O? Letter O says O. O, Did you say R? Or K? We have 2 letters that make that K sound. C makes that sound and K makes that sound, but I'm going to write letter K. I see the fork. Here's my fork. Now my sentence isn't over. When I have I see the fork, my sentence isn't over yet. I need to finish my sentence with something we call punctuation. I'm going to use a period. The period is a little tiny dot at the end that just shows that I'm done. Have you seen people in your life writing sentences? Older brothers or sisters or your moms or your dads? Did you ever see them using sentences? What do they use them for? We're using sentences today to write about the topic of things that we find in our kitchen. But if you can use sentences, think about all the things you could do. Think for a minute. What are the things you could do if you could write more sentences? Did you say some ideas? Did you say you could write a note to someone you love? You could write a story and be an author. There are so many things, and I bet you've seen your grown-ups in your house use sentences. Now I want you to pause this video and I want you to go into your kitchen and I want you to find 2 things that you can use to write about. So go ahead and pause and then come right back when you have 2 things. All right, did you get 2 things from your kitchen? I'm using a plate and a fork. What are you using? I already wrote my first sentence, I see the fork. Now I'm going to write my second sentence and I want you to write with me for the second sentence. For my second sentence, I want to write, I have a plate. Do you hear some sight words in there? I have a. Those are kindergarten sight words. I have a. Let's start our sentence with that. Now remember, every sentence starts with a capital letter. So you're going to start on the left side of your page or your whiteboard. And your first word is I. Please make sure it's capital. I. Do you remember what I taught you about what we do after we write a word? I hope you said that we leave a finger space. Put your fingers down so that we can have a space in between our words. Our next word is have. Can you remember how to write have? I have a little song I sing. Have you seen a froggy sitting in a pond? H-A-V-E, have. I have. What's our next word? I have a. A. So put your fingers down for your next space. A. I have a. Now I am using a plate for my sentence, but I let you choose something from your kitchen that you're going to write about. First, watch me write the word plate. Plate is not a sight word, so I have to figure out in my head, how am I going to write the word plate? I know. I'm going to use kid spelling, just like you're going to do by yourself in just a moment. So I think about plate. Can you finger stretch out the word plate with me? Let's listen to the sounds we hear. P, O, A, T. I heard 4 sounds. So we need to take the letters that we know and use those letters to match them with the sounds that we hear. First sound was P, P. So we'll put our fingers down and I'm going to write a P, P, a P because I know P says P. O. I know that's an L. P, O. A. A. What letter says that? A says ape. A. And then the last sound in my word is T. That's a letter T. Now I can tell you that grown-ups spell the word plate a little bit differently than this. But that's okay. I want you to learn how to listen to the sounds that you hear and use the letters that you know to match them with the sounds and spell the word. Read what I wrote. I have a plate. Now I want you to pause this again and I want you to take a moment to finger stretch and sound out. Use your kid spelling to write about what you have. I have a. Now you pause and write about what you have. After you write that word, come back on the video. All right, I hope you filled in what your word was. Now our sentence isn't done. Do you remember that we always have to end with a punctuation? This time we're using a period. I have a plate. Now if you want to get really tricky, you could try to write something that was in the form of a question. Have you heard of a question mark? Instead of saying, I have a plate, I could ask, do you have a plate? If I wanted to ask that question, I start with my sight word do and my sight word you have. And if I run out of room, I can go back to the next line. A plate and a question mark looks like this. Do you have a plate? So you can take what you wrote and change it a little bit to write a question. But I'm going to take my question off for now because I want to stick to my sentences. Let's take a look at what you wrote. I'm going to ask you some questions. Did you start with a capital letter at the beginning of your sentence? And did you make sure to use lowercase letters for all of the rest of your sentence? Now check between each word. Do you have a finger space with some white space in between each word? Did you put a period at the end of your sentence? I'm so proud of you for writing with me today. My board says, I see the fork. I have a plate. Watch me write one more sentence. Maybe you can read it with me. I'm going to put some sight words in here. I want, that's a sight word, W-A-N-T. I want to is written with a T and then an O, to. I want to eat. Oh, eat is not a sight word. Eat. I hear 2 sounds. Eat. Eat. And of course, everybody, what do I end with? A period. Very good. Now I wrote, I see the fork. I have a plate. I want to eat. Now I want you, after you're done watching this video, to write one more sentence so that you can have the start of a little story with a topic that is about things that you can find in your kitchen. I am so proud of you for writing sentences with me today. I hope that you go and take your sentences and read them to somebody in your house. Show them to your grown-ups or your brothers or your sisters or your teacher. They would love to see your sentences, I'm sure. All right, it's been so good being here with you today, and I can't wait to do some more learning activities with you next time. Bye, boys and girls.